Hello, hello, and welcome to another draft video. Today I'm going to be doing another traditional draft, best 2 out of 3, and I'm going to be trying to go a bit slower during the draft and try to explain cards at a bit more of a basic level and actually talk about what the cards actually do. This is a timed draft, so we'll see how that ends up going, if I'll be able to pull it off, but Q is ready, so let's get started. Okay, so we've got our rare as Sporeweb Weaver. 1/4 reach, hexproof from blue. Whenever it's dealt damage, you gain a life and create a 1/1 Saproling. It's a very strong defensive card, and can keep you safe from flyers, but it's a bit of an unexciting first pick, and well, it is a fine card, especially if you can like attach auras to it and really attack them. Uh, it's not something that I want to be first picking. It's a fine card to be adding to a green deck for sure, but I think we can do a bit better. And when I say a bit better, I'm looking at Heartfire Immolator. This card is extremely powerful. Uh, one of the best, maybe one of the best 2-drops in the set, apart from Season Hallowblade. Is a 2/2 with Prowess, which already would be excellent, as you can, be very tricky with it. Prowess, of course, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. But you can also pay a red mana and sacrifice it to deal damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker. So it acts as both a early creature that can get in for decent damage and a removal spell. And it even shoots planeswalkers if things come to that. And Prowess, of course, bumping its power up makes it be able to shoot even bigger things. It's a very strong card that I'm very happy to pick up. And where we want to go from here is, I love going red-blue, so I'm looking at this Rousing Read and it's very tempting. This is also a great thing to put on Heartfire Immolator turn 3, as that's going to trigger Prowess. It's going to be a 4 power of flying on turn 3 and make it easier to shoot stuff down. But there's also a Battle Rattle Shaman, and this card is quite powerful, and I'm going to be taking it. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may have target creature get +2/+0 until end of turn. So it kind of has a bit of a pseudo haste effect when you play it, because you immediately get to make something have 2 extra power, pairs well with evasion creatures, and is an all-around good card to have in your deck. Unfortunately here, there's nothing that's I'm loving. Bone Pit Brute is just too expensive for me to justify playing most of the time. The cards here that I think the best card in the pack is Fetid Imp or Sanctum of Tranquil Light, depending on if you have multiple Sanctums or not. I could go into red-black here. And I think that just might be what I'm going to do. Nothing else here is really amazing, and Fetid Imp is good early to push in a little bit of damage, and good late as it can gain Death Touch, trade with anything, and because it has flying, it can block everything and be able to trade with it. Okay, so we're probably not going to be playing this Fetid Imp because we have a couple of very strong cards here. Mistral Singer, 2/2 Flying Prowess, is an excellent card to be evasive and really put the pressure on your opponent, but Basir's Acolyte is it's not the best common in the set, that's Scorching Dragonfire, but it's my favorite common in the set. It's 2/3 lifelink for 4 mana, which is below par for stats, but when it enters the battlefield, you get a +1/+1 counter on up to 2 other target creatures you control. So you're essentially getting, 4 points of power and 5 points of toughness when you play this card, as long as you have 2 other creatures, which is extremely easy to pull off. And we're definitely rewarded here. I'm just going to go ahead and throw this Fetid Imp away, because we've got two very strong cards for us. Boss Free Solidarity, +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, and Conclave Mentor, which if you would put a +1/+1 counter onto a creature, you put an extra one. And when it dies, you gain life equal to its power as a little bit of a bonus. Now, Conclave Mentor, this is pick 5 is very late for this card. It's extremely powerful. But so is Boss Free Solidarity, and my two red cards are strong enough that I'm perfectly fine staying the course on this rather than abandoning these two good red cards to go green. There's a lot of two color combination cards going around. I really wanted to try playing with this card, Watcher of the Spheres, but and I think my red-white base here is extremely powerful. So I'm not going to take that. Havoc Jester, 5/5 for 5 is good stats. Whenever you sacrifice a permanent, it deals 1 damage to any target, but I don't have any sacrifice effects, and I don't really like a lot of the sacrifice effects in this set. So I'm not going to be taking this. I'm going to be taking an Alpine Watchdog. It's a pretty dorky 2-drop, just a 2/2 with Vigilance, but it's still it's an early drop, which is what you really want to be doing in red white. You really want to get creatures on the board on turn 2 and 3 and even 1, so that when you play your Boss Freeze Acolyte on turn 4 or your Battle Rattle Shaman on turn 4, you can take advantage of the extra power that they bring to the table right away. Here, there's another Watchdog, and a Dub, which is a very solid enchantment that will let you just rule the battlefield as long as your opponent doesn't have a removal. But I'm going to be taking the Anointed Chorister here. It's a 1-drop that you can play early, get in for a couple damage, and then when it's outclassed, even if it's outclassed in the mid game, you can pay 5 mana to make it a 4/4 with lifelink, and that really gets you back in the game. There's the 5-killer Shrine Rare. One of these days I'm going to actually draft this, but not today, and I'm not going to explain what it does, it's too much. But the card, we have our choice between a 1/3 for 1, I don't like this card very much. That's too low impact. Like, compare this to Anointed Chorister, where in the mid to end game you get to just make it huge. We're taking a Swift Response here. It's much cheaper than Secure the Scene, and even though it only hits tapped creatures, I still like it better than a 5-mana spell. Here, there's an Anake Ogre, 4/2 for 3 mana. It's 2 toughness is awkward on a 3-drop because it's oftentimes going to just like die to all the 2-drops that your opponent might play, but that's not that bad of a trade, a 3 for a 2, and 4 power means that it can trade up for 4 drops and even 5 drops if it comes to that, and making it bigger and being able to clear away with Frost Breath, but that's not my colors, makes the Anake Ogre very strong. So here, there's a Rambunctious Mutt, which is a okay sideboard card. We are best 203, so that's something to keep in mind. I'm not taking it though. I'm going to take a Secure the Scene. Likely not playing it as it is a bit expensive, but it's still unconditional removal, even if it leaves behind a blocker, and it's only sorcery speed. Here we've got White Shrine, which I'll take. 6 mana to tap target creature. It costs 1 less for each shrine you control. Obviously, it counts itself, so it's maximum 5 mana to tap a creature, which is expensive, but it's the cheapest shrine, so that you can get it out and make your other shrines much better if you pick them up. Here, I'm going to take a Fur of the Bitten. It's an incredible card to slap onto Anointed Chorister early. I take a card that's in my color, a Silent Dart, and a Dub. And let's see what we got. Okay, so this is interesting here because we've got 3 cards that we're looking at here: Tempered Veteran, Sanctum of Shattered Heights, and Scorching Dragonfire. Scorching Dragonfire is the best common in the set. 3 damage to target creature, planeswalker, and it exiles them. It's It's very cheap, instant speed, very efficient. There's a Tempered Veteran, which can put +1/+1 counters on creatures. It costs 6 if they don't have a counter on it, but only 1 mana if they do. So that's a fairly powerful card. I like it a bit better in green-white when you're a bit of a slower deck. This is more of an aggressive deck. And Red Shrine. I already have White Shrine, and Red Shrine is the one that needs other shrines the most, where you can discard lands and start tossing a lot of damage at your opponent's creatures. But Scorching Dragonfire is just too important for this deck for me to pass up. And Shrines sometimes wheel, and even the Tempered Veteran can wheel at times. So here, there's a shock, 2 damage to any target. Simple and clean, that's the way I like it. And yeah, there is another chorister here. I generally don't like to play too many. They're decent in multiples in that you can do some threat of activation shenanigans with them, but not the best. And while I might play Concordia Pegasus in this deck, especially with a Celestial Enforcer to tap stuff because obviously the Pegasus has flying. It's not better than a Shock. Shock is it's a card that's pretty much never dead. Oh wow, there's a Fiery Emancipation here if we want to get real deep. If a source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals triple that damage instead. So Shock hits them for 6. Anake Ogre gets through, hits them for 12. That's insane. Now, I think the correct choice here is Feat of Resistance. It puts a +1/+1 counter on your creatures, so that's a permanent bonus to them. And protection from the color of your choice until end of turn means that you can counter removal spells with this. You can make it so that your opponent's attackers don't do anything. You can make it so that they can't block your creature. It's an incredible card and one that I would want 1 or 2 of in this deck, but I need to try out Fiery Emancipation. I know it's going to be an awkward card, but I'm just dreaming the scenarios where I drop this thing on turn 6 and then make my opponent very sad. All right, that was a bit strange there, but nonetheless. So here we could take Destructive Tampering, but those go so late that I don't want to take that. Legion's Judgment for the sideboard. Potentially a Prismite, just to try and get the triple red of Fiery Emancipation, though that would cost 7 mana total, and that's a lot of mana. I don't want to be playing that much. So I'm just going to take the Legion's Judgment, which is destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. Doesn't work against all decks, but I can safely throw it in the sideboard, and it'll be there for when I need it. Oh man, these are some strong uncommons here. Griffinary and Liliana's Devotee. I really like Griffinary. It only takes 1 trigger of this to be worth it, and if you can get multiples, the card is bonkers. If you can gain 3 life in your deck consistently, you get 2/2 Griffins every turn that you're able to gain the life. With me, I've got Anointed Courser and a couple of auras and itself to try to make it work, but Makeshift Battalion is an awkward creature, but it's one that I might play. Okay. So here, there's a Celestial Enforcer, which we already have one, and we don't have any creatures with flying right now, so I'm not too interested in picking one up. There's a Goblin Arsonist, which is a 1-drop. When it dies, deals 1 damage to any target. It's a good sideboard card to be sure, but I'm not going to take that. I'm going to be taking the Turret Ogre. It's a great follow-up to Anake Ogre because it deals 2 damage to your opponent when you have a creature with power 4 or greater. It's got reach and fairly decent stats for the cost. Okay, so here, I'm not going to take another aura here. I'm probably not playing the first Silent Dart, and as a matter of fact, I'll hide it. Just a bit too... The rate's just not good enough, unless you have a bunch of prowess creatures that you can play this to make them do well. I'm going to take the Warded Battlements. It looks awkward to take a defender in this aggressive deck, but it gives your attacking creatures +1 power. So it's at its best in like a blue-white flyers deck, but it's not the worst like sideboard option to try and race, and I might even play it main deck. Here, there's a short sword, which is an equipment, makes creatures +1/+1 better. It's cheap, and it might see play. Okay, so we wield the shrine like I hoped we would. I'm taking this. I don't know if I'll play it. I'll play the shrine package, but it's definitely something to consider. Okay, we got a Concordia Pegasus, just a 1/3 flyer for 2. It's perfectly fine. There's another short sword, but I'm gonna take the Epitaph Golem here, just in case I run up against Teferi's Tutelage decks. Now that's a card that whenever your opponent draws a card, they mill you for 2, and Epitaph Golem, during your upkeep, you can put a spell back into your library so that you draw it and don't die to having no cards in library. Take Frost Breath because I don't have anything. Swiftwater Cliffs, just in case we open a really bonkers blue card that we want to splash. Roll Scarring, and Leon Stewart that we're not playing. Okay. Speaking of Nefarious Tutelage, I've wanted to build a mill deck in this format, but I've just never gotten the chance to actually play with this card. There's a Maze Mind Tome, which is slow, but it's a lot of card advantage. I'm not going to be taking that. I kind of want to take it, but I'm not going to. It's not quite the aggressive deck I'm looking for at the moment. Here, but I'd rather take one of these red creatures down here. Spellgorger Weird is the one that I think I'm going to take. No, I'm going to take another Turret Ogre here. It's just a solid creature. I don't think I have quite enough stuff for the Spellgorger Weird at the moment. Okay, well, we got lucky here. We got another Scorching Dragonfire. Having 2 is excellent in any aggressive deck. So pick that up and be very happy about that. Got another Basri's Acolyte here, so things are looking up. I was a bit worried going into this pack that we didn't have quite the right setup for this deck. There's also a Ruined Halo, which is worth talking about. Let's read this. When it enters the battlefield, choose a card name. You have a protection from the chosen card name. So that means that you can't be dealt damage to it. You can't be targeted by it. So it can basically turn a card name into a defender for your opponent, because you can still deal damage to your creatures, but it attacking you won't do anything. It's also useful for planeswalkers that target you in this set. Okay. So here, there's another Alpine Watchdog as a early creature. We have very few early creatures, so that's something to consider. However, I'm going to be taking the Angelic Ascension here. This card is very tricky, but it's very powerful. You can use it to save one of your creatures from removal, and it turns into a 4/4 flyer. Or you can use this to, like, say your Watchdog's like completely outclassed in the late game. You can instant speed, turn it into a 4/4 flyer at the end of your opponent's turn, and then start beating in. I like this card quite a bit, and it's been very powerful for me. And even in like times of trouble, I have used this once on one of my opponent's creatures. So very, very valuable. Here, there's an Igneous Cur that we can take, because we need more 2-drops, and this is another creature like the Chorister that has a pump ability, so you can have extra power in the early late game. Like, you just swing for 7 with this creature if you have mana to do so. Ooh, okay, there's a Siege Striker here. Double strike, and whenever it attacks, you can untap any number of untapped creatures you control, and it gets +1/+1 for each creature you tap this way. So that includes creatures that you play after this that still have summoning sickness. So you can play this on turn 3, play a 4-drop on turn 4, attack with the Siege Striker, tap the 4-drop, and you're attacking with a 2/2 double striker. And you can tap other things as well. It's incredible with it's an incredible if you follow up with a Basri's Acolyte or Battle Rattle Shaman. That, oh boy. Okay, now here there's a Windscarred Crag. I'm not going to be playing either of these red cards. I'll be taking the Windscarred Crag. I'll have to think about this a bit if I want to play it. Normally I don't, especially with in aggressive decks. However, I do have a triple red spell and 2 double white spells I really want to get on time, so I'll have to have a think while building about that. Okay, so here we could take them up for the sideboard, but I like Sure Strike a lot as a trick, and so having one of those is +3/+1 first strike until end of turn. It basically lets you trade this card for their creature and them blocking or them attacking into you. It's very powerful. Another swift response, possibly for the sideboard. Very late Waker of Waves, by the way. That's very, very strong in any blue deck. Okay, so there's another red shrine, and of the shrines you are gonna play multiples of, red shrine is the one you're most likely to, because not only can you discard land shrines to it, you can discard shrine cards to it. So if you have a multiple, that's just food to throw away to the first one. Here we'll take the uncommon for the vaults, another aura, might not play it, another secure the scene, another chorister, that might get in, and a gorehorn we can get rid of later. Okay. So now there's 51 cards in this big pile here. So we gotta think about what we want to play. Let's start by cutting one secure the scene and one swift response. I want to be the deck that's attacking in these games, so swift response only destroys tapped creatures. So this is going to be best when I'm racing or I'm going up against a Flyers deck that I can't block, or a big green deck that has creatures that are just oversized mine. So it's not going to be the best. I'm fine starting 1 or maybe 0 depending. I think we can cut a chorister. Like I said earlier, I'm not thrilled about playing multiples. Can aura and the short sword. We've got a Solidarity and 2 Basri's Acolytes. The Battle Rattle Shaman and the Fiery Emancipation is kind of like buffs for my creatures, so let's also cut the dub. That I don't really need all these different auras and cards that if I attach them to creatures and they get removed, I'm spending a lot of mana and cards for my opponent to just 2-for-1 me. I'm also going to cut the Celestial Enforcer as I only have the 1 flyer. And now I'm going to cut the second Secure the Scene. I've got 3 removal spells and the Shrine package still. If I choose to play the Shrine package and these 3 removal spells, I'm probably going to be set for how much removal I would need to really clear the board and work in my favor. I'm liking the Shrine package. I think I am going to play it. In that case, I will need to cut 3 other cards. So I think the Swift Response is going to be 1. The Warded Battlements is going to be another. And 1 more. Now, one thing to keep in mind is I gotta be careful about how many creatures I'm running, especially with all these, things to pump up my creatures. And playing the Shrine package, that's 3 non-creature spells. These removal spells is another 3 non-creature spells. Pump spell, pump spell, pump spell. So let's do a quick count of how many creatures we actually have. We got 1. Well, let's actually use this. 13 creatures and 11 non-creatures. That's not quite good enough, I think, in terms of wanting to cut more creatures. So I need to cut one other thing, and I think it's going to be the other aura. The one thing I don't want to happen is for me to have too many pump spells and like shrines that I might not be able to activate for a while and no creatures on the board. Having stuff on the board is so important in limited that I'm actually thinking I might shave maybe a land for another anointed chorister. As my curve goes to, it does go to 6, but no, I actually no, I've got 2 shrines that I I would want to have lands to discard to them, and even though my curve only goes to 4, I really want to hit 4 for these very powerful creatures. So I think we're gonna stick with this and see how we do. We've got a couple swift responses, Legion's Judgment, a couple secure scenes in the board, so and a couple Fur of the Bittens, just in case I run into like blue-green decks that I feel they might not have much removal. I can slap those onto my early creatures and really get in. Yeah, I'm liking this a lot. Let's start playing. The one thing that I wish I did have was an Alpine Houndmaster, which is the white-red uncommon, 2/2 for 2. When it enters the battlefield, you can search your library for a copy of Alpine Watchdog and Igneous Cur, of which I have one of each, and put them into your hand. So it can essentially be a 2-drop that draws you 2 cards, which is incredible. As well, it gets plus X power, where X is the number of other attacking creatures that you have. So it's even like great in combat too. But it was not meant to be. A bunch of other of the double mana, 2 mana, 2 color uncommons. Okay, so we've got the Shrine package, which is excellent, and a fair amount of lands. So we're going to be able to discard lands or another red shrine if we find it to deal 2 damage to any of my opponent's creatures that they play. And a Sure Strike that literally does nothing right now, but if like I would be extremely happy with this as a 6 card hand. So even though this does nothing, like I don't see the point in mulliganing here. Starting off like they're Constructed with a Fabled Passage. I think it's a white deck, so we may have to worry about rambunctious mutts messing up our shrine shenanigans. Also white-black, that could be annoying if they play Indulging Patrician. Okay, well, got an Angelic Ascension to perhaps deal with that later. And now that we've got these 2 shrines, we can really start controlling the board. Archer dealing 1 to me. Let's play Plains and a Makeshift Battalion. And we'll leave up 1 shrine activation. Depending on what my opponent does, I might trade this battalion for their archer. As a matter of fact, I am. I can't have 3 shrines to be able to destroy it with 1 activation, so I'll have to spend 2 cards to deal with it, which I'm not thrilled about doing. Okay. So let's play this Heartfire Immolator. Keep this land in hand for now, and pass and see what my opponent does. Revitalize, okay. So if this Indulging Patrician is alive at the end of their turn, I'm going to be taking an extra 3 damage. Sanguine Indulgence to get back the Skeleton Archer. Would have raised that action there. Okay, so my opponent has up double black, which is kind of worrying for me. Uh, because I really want to try Angelic Ascensioning my Heartfire Emulator here, then blocking, because that would put me up a 4/4 Angel, and then so 1/4 dude. Uh, I'm not gonna do that. Just a bit too worried at this juncture right now. Okay. Mountain, which is excellent. Now we can play this Battle Rattle Shaman. Make it big. Going in with the Immolator for 4. And then throw the Immolator at this Patrician. Now we don't have to deal with it. Island out of my opponent, that's interesting. The Watcher of the Spheres. Okay. Well, this Watcher's gonna get sniped. Let's give this Battle Rattle some power. Not attack, and then let's play this Turd Ogre. The reason I did that was that I could get the 4 power trigger to deal 2 to my opponent. I'm not going to block the Skeleton Archer if they attack with it. Ooh, bad deal. Never mind, that might change things. I was hoping to keep up my Sure Strike to be able to deal with it 1-for-1 and still keep my creatures on the board. I won't choose not to attack. I am fine with that. That's 4 mana though. A bit awkward. But that does allow me to get in for 8. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make superpower this Turd Ogre and attack it. They'll likely block. Okay. Now I'll play Concordia Pegasus, and Battle Rattle Shaman will mean that this is attacking as a 3/3 flyer. So I can chip down my opponent's 6 swings. They've got Solemn Simulacrum. So they're going to grab another land, another island. They have quite good mana, and a Gale Swooper. So it's a good thing that my Pegasus is attacking as a 3-power creature. Which I am going to do. Despite the fact that, oh, my opponent is going to trade. That's good for me. Well, maybe that's good for me. Actually, that's not good for me because I do have the Sanctum. Silver Smoke Ghoul and Vern Wingmare. Attacking with their Solemn Simulacrum, which is very annoying. I'm going to take the damage at this moment and see what happens. A Wind-Scarred Crag. Excellent. So let's combat, give my Watchdog a bit of an extra boost. Attack with it. Going to block. And we're going to trade for it. Okay. Let's shoot down their Wingmare and pass the turn. We've got 4 mana to use the Sanctum to tap down their Solemn Simulacrum and start getting in. Hopefully my opponent doesn't have any creatures to play. Oh no, they have a Sanguine Indulgence off the top? That's very bad for me. Yeah, getting back 2 creatures. Basically drawing 2 good cards. Okay. Well, let's pump up the jam and attack for 4. Turn. Eleanor just going to deal 1 to us. play land. Let's Solemn's an annoying card because if I destroy it, then my opponent gets to draw a card. With the amount of lands they have in play, it's highly likely that they will draw a spell, and I don't want that. So I'm gonna tap their Patrician, let them attack with their Solemn, go down to 5. Hopefully find some action here. A Basri Solidarity, that's interesting. So I can play that. Balral will be a 3/3. Therefore, it can block Solemn Simulacrum perfectly fine. And if yeah, I'm going to play this. I'm going to play the land that's in my hand. And pass. Whatever. Now I can tap their Skeleton Archer so that that can't get in. They can still attack with their Patrician, though. And their Solemn, which I'm forced to block, giving my opponent a card. So I'm on a clock with this Patrician doming me in the face. But I still get to attack back for big chunks of damage, so it's possible that I might be able to put my opponent in a situation where they don't have any untapped oh no. I was about to say my opponent having no untapped creatures, I draw Fire Emancipation, then just 15 them. Yep. Tap down the Skeleton Archer and take 1. This is very unfortunate that my opponent has an Indulgent Patrician in play, though this helps. I don't want that in play because should my opponent draw something like a Revitalize, then I would just die to it, as this would deal 3 damage to me, as my opponent had gained 3 life that turn. Another Sanguine Indulgence, oh my goodness. That's number 3? Gosh, I just can't catch a break here. That's likely gonna do it. I can't. Best I can do is draw a 2-drop. It's not a 2-drop. It at least, well, it buys me a turn, whatever. Wait until my opponent attacks to shoot the Solemn, just in case my opponent has auras in their deck. Has 9 cards left in their library. Okay, I need to shoot this Tavern Swindler now, because if I let my opponent be able to use it with the Indulgent Patrician play, they can spend 3 life to potentially gain 6 if they win their coin flip. I'm fighting on for dear life here, but I have very little that can save me here. Yeah. And that'll be the game. Oh boy, okay, so my opponent has a bunch of very annoying creatures. Looks like they might be have blue for opt-in, Watcher of the Spheres. I'm guessing they have something else quite strong in there because that's a really weird splash. Triple Sanguine Indulgence, which is a pain. Maybe only have the 1 removal spell, so with potentially only the 1 removal spell, I think that my best bet might just be to get extremely aggressive on them. So let's put in the Chorister. Let's put in the Double Fur of the Bitten. Let's take out Fire Emancipation because it's just million mana. Uh, Turret Ogres block the Indulging Patrician, so I believe that that is a good thing to keep. Shave down one of the shrines. I might just shave down all the shrines because I think I just need to be with triple Sanguine Indulgence. Like I just spend my turns dealing with their creatures just for them to get them all back. So even though it is repeatable removal, I think my best bet is to just be bigger on board, and that will enable me to uh, really get through. I'm also going to throw in the Secure the Scene as a way to exile so that they can't get full value out of their Sanguine Indulgence. I like the look of this a decent amount, so let's see how it does. Playing first with a solid curve if things go plan. 2, 3, 4 is generally what you want me to be doing. Ooh, I should have replaced the Windscarred Crag with another untap land. Now that I don't have the Fire Emancipation, entirely possible that I should have cut it because I don't have the Fire Emancipation as well. So this might end up hurting me. I can't play like one of these 4s on turn 4. Okay, I'm not going to be able to do that, but at least I'm still going to be able to play this Watchdog. So I can still attack with 3 creatures next turn to grow this makeshift battalion. My opponent so far has done nothing. Entirely possible that they have multiple Sanguine Indulgences in hand, and, well, they have the Solemn, which is a pain in my butt. Basri's Acolyte was, I think, the best draw in my deck, because now I can put a counter on Alpine Watchdog and Igneous Cur, attack, makeshift battalion gets a counter, suddenly I have three toughness creatures, and Basri's Acolyte is in and of itself 3 toughness, so yeah, my opponent's just trading off the Solemn for a card, and not for one of my creatures here. So that was an excellent draw, and I'm feeling extremely good about myself here. Because also having 3 toughness is very important for if my opponent is playing Pestilent Haze. I'm gonna play a few random creatures, and I am going to play a Battle Rattle Shaman. Buff up the Basri's Acolyte, and my opponent's had enough. Okay. Yeah, my opponent's, yeah, their deck's quite slow. It's quite grindy, which is why they were able to outgrind my shrines, but now putting in just more stuff to curve out will show that I just need to, all I gotta do is curve. I'm going to still, I'm on the draw, so I think I can afford to shave a land for another actual spell. Sure. Perhaps another Secure the Scene. I could also put in a single Swift Response, as awkward as that is. I think I will. Hopefully going to be well placed on one of their lifelinkers that they think they can race me, but shasha, they can't. And I'm okay with this. I really would need to draw a 1 or a 2 drop to make take full advantage of this Basri's Acolyte. However, just Siege Striker into Basri's Acolyte is attacking with 3/3 double striker, so I can't be too unhappy if that's how it ends up going. However, to do that, I will need to draw a second white source. Drawing that mountain is not fantastic for me. Opponent plays the Indulging Patrician, which is the one thing my removal spells cannot destroy at the moment. And while I could deal with it now, again, get on the board, then use my removal spells to really give them the business. Okay, dub. So that's a lot of damage. So now I am 100% making sure that this thing goes away forever. Couple damage. So I'm in okay shape here. If I draw any land, I did. Like so, I'm going to play this turret ogre here. For the bin on the siege striker. Attack. And this. Oh. Well, that was awkward. So I missed out on 2 damage there because it, I don't know, lagged out or something. I don't know what happened. Oh, my opponent's had enough. They probably have 4 drops in hand that they can't play, and they don't know about this Bastard's Acolyte showing up, but that's a lot of pressure. So, able to get the first one. Pretty happy about. And we're going on to game 2. Round 2. Game 1. Round 2. Check, check. So, we'll see how the, if the Shrine package is gonna prove its worth in this game. Doesn't have it, and while this hand doesn't have a 2-drop, it does have a shock. So, shock being able to deal with annoying 2-drop like my opponent, like a Hobble Fiend. I don't want you blocking creatures, so let's just get you out of here. On all lands so far, which we've got 6 now, I hope to draw no more. Hooded Blightfang. Well, let's throw down this turret ogre for the 2 damage. And offer up the trade for my Anake ogre. One takes it. That's fine with me. Trade our 3s. Skeleton Archer is a bit annoying. I can't attack through that. I'm still gonna try. Play mountain. Play a makeshift battalion. Now I'm at the point where I'm not going to play any more of my lands. Ugh, shock. That's annoying. Just in case I draw Red Shrine, and I've got ammo for it. Bone Pit Brute. Okay. That thing's big enough to cause a lot of problems. Hope I draw Fire Emancipation. I can the Scorching Dragonfire this thing for a lot of damage. Opponent's playing a 4 toughness creature. It'd be a bit awkward. They're like kind of a big red-black deck. Draw another land. The perils of playing 17 lands. So now I'm taking 7 down to 8. Very rapidly running out of turns here. My opponent can commit more to the board. They are. Let's just get rid of that now. And okay. Turret Ogre is not nothing. This can block the Crypt Lurker. And they do have a Grasp of Darkness. So there's nothing in my deck that can save me. Okay. That's a bit unfortunate that I drew that many lands, but we are going to be able to take a look at some things. I'm taking out the Shrine package in this one as well. My opponent's creatures are just big enough that that's going to be really annoying. These swift responses, though, are, excuse me, excuse me, are going to be excellent. And my opponent does have removal, so shock. Grasp of Darkness, this Blight Fang, so just throwing auras on my creatures isn't gonna get the job done. Uh, with double Spellgorger Weird and a Bone Pit Brute, and potentially a Hobble Fiend, I also want the Legion's Judgment. I think I'm just gonna try and out-control my opponent here. And I believe I have the tools to get that done. Let's try this. Playing first and throwing this away. That's annoying. Uh, Unfortunately, I think I have to keep this. Sure Strike is likely not going to be the... maybe, I don't know. It was between the Sure Strike and the Angelic Ascension there, and granted, both of them are probably going to not do anything for most of this game. Both of them ideally require a creature on my side to take advantage of them. Uh, so yeah. I'm doing here. And my opponent are both doing absolutely nothing. I'm not going to play this Bowser's Acolyte for no value. Grip Lurker, okay. So that's something that I can Legion's Judgment if they choose to throw a short sword on it. Fiery Emancipation is... I need to draw a mountain to cast that, and that's really annoying. Because I don't want to draw mountains, I want to draw spells. Well, I have to, Take care of that. Now my opponent's probably very likely to play a Bone Pit Brute. Oh no, just a Spellgorger Weird and a Hooded Blight Fang. Okay. Ooh, a Swift Response, that's going to be very useful. Let's throw down this stupid Fire Emancipation and have some fun. So I've got 6 power of lifelink on this Boss Acolyte now. That's going to help me quite a bit. And this swift response to deal with my opponent's shenanigans. I have a feeling that I'm going to live here, so I'm going to play this Concordia Pegasus as well. This is a lot of stuff on my board that can deal if my opponent gets tricky. Like, even if they have 2 spells here, this Spellgorger Weird is not going to grow enough to really deal with my stuff. Okay, let's throw this Boss Acolyte in the way and gain a bunch of life. Shimmering Devils, those are going to be annoying. Mountain, alright, might as well keep that in my hand. Let's pass the turn. Okay. Let's block there. Pass through damage. Grip Lurker, okay. Now let's destroy this Pitchburn Devils. They're gonna shoot, maybe me, maybe the Concordia Pegasus, I'm not sure. Yeah, they can't resist shooting the Pegasus, and we're gonna upgrade it. Oh no, they have a removal spell. That's really unfortunate for me. Alright, well. We got another Swift Response. That's not nothing. Get rid of this Crypt Lurker. they have a sky scanner, so they can draw a card and be able to hit me in the air. That's gonna be very annoying, as I no longer have any flyers. But Osprey's Acolyte is thankfully going to get me back in this game. Maybe, I don't know. It's gonna gain me a lot of life. Oh no, Bone Brute will make sure that that does not happen. That is a bunch of damage in the air. That's very unfortunate. So just drew too many lands that game. That match, both games. Felt like I dealt with my opponent's creatures as best I could, but trading 1-for-1s when you have way more lands than your opponent just isn't gonna work. We're on the play, and we cannot keep that hand. We can, however, keep this. So I'm gonna put back Shrine here. And hope that I draw some creatures. As I would love to have this Basri Solidarity go on to 2+ creatures. Okay. It's so annoying. Alright, I'm gonna spew this off now and bash them. Because having my Heartfire Immolator be a permanent 3/3 is very strong when my opponent has a 3 toughness blocker. On big money. Oh, goodness gracious me. More lands. Okay. Let's deal with this Sure Striker and swing in for 4. I don't want to wait for my opponent to like tap down their Corey Pegasus and whatever else they might play. Just in case they are able to leave up a Feat of Resistance, that would be so incredibly backbreaking for me. For them to have a 2/2 double striker. Granted, I could throw my Heartfire Immolator at it, but I don't want to get rid of my my guy right now, as is my only thing capable of beating it. Oh boy, more lands. Opponent's on 5 mana now. Okay, so they've got an Enforcer here and another Pegasus, so they can safely block and destroy my Heartfire Immolator unless I draw some kind of prowess spell. Prowess enabling spell. Or a Basri's Acolyte. Okay. That gives the Immolator the required power to get through. Unfortunately, my opponent's Celestial Enforcer is going to be quite annoying. They have a bunch of 3 toughness creatures, so they can lock down my Heartfire Immolator, and my Bastard Acolyte just will not be able to get in. The Warded Battlements now, another 3 toughness creature. They can get in for 4 a turn if they want, and tap down my Immolator and make me extremely sad. I would love to draw my second Scorching Dragonfire here, or Fire Emancipation, or Battle Rattle Shaman. Okay, Igneous Cure is not horrible here. That is going to certainly put pressure on my opponent. Let's get in for 3 life here. And pass. As it is Basri's Acolyte, that's extremely annoying. Gonna put counters on their Pegasi. Bring them out of the good Scorching Dragonfire range. They're attacking me for 6 here. Okay, I think I'll take this here. My turn. Oh, daddy. Okay. Let's drop this Fire Emancipation and see what my opponent does. So, their best bet is to maybe, I don't know, tap my... Okay, they're tapping my Immolator, which I'm very happy about. Now let's attack with my Acolyte and my Cur. Cur will trade for their Acolyte if they so choose. I'm gaining 6 life. Excellent. Okay. So now we're winning this race. Ah, or so I thought. Second Bossry's Acolyte. Certainly a problem. Potentially. So I'm going to 10 here. So I can gain all this back with my Acolyte. Siege Striker, okay. Go for the Gusto here. May end up having to get rid of my Heartfire Acolyte here. Oh, nope. See, them tapping my Bossry's Acolyte would be a lot worse for me. Because if I'm just able to gain back the 6 life that I took, then I'm just gonna win this. Oh, okay. They've got a Bossry kit too. Building up their Acolyte. Okay. I have to think a bit here. I'm fine taking the 6. And now my opponent only has the 2 blockers. So if I shoot their Acolyte, they would have to tap down one of my creatures, and I would force the block. Alternatively, I can shoot their Enforcer. Attack with both my creatures. They do gain some life, but I think this is the way. I really need to draw a creature here or some other spell that will help me, but I think just getting rid of their Enforcer is what's going to win me this game. Yeah, because if I shot the Acolyte here, I would have been in for a real surprise, because it does have Indestructible. Sure, waste my time. Ah, no, okay. Well, that's a problem. Let's swing face. And end the turn. Now if I draw second red shrine, because the first one's on the bottom of my library, another Basri's Acolyte? Come on! Oh my god, this is so frustrating. I'm just on a Basri theme deck. I need to draw Shock. Okay, that'll do it. Oh, that won't do it. No. Ah, that's only 3 damage. I'm taking too much. Yeah, and that's so frustrating. Oh well, so, okay. Definitely put in the swift responses because they're trying to just dome us with flyers. This is a matchup where I think the shrines are awkward because my opponent has only 3 toughness stuff. So I think it's not going to be the best idea to have all those in play. Um, it's very tough because like I didn't see early removal from them, so I could just go full aura here. Yeah, let's try this. Third Bostri's Acolyte, jeez. And because they had boss recut, they were able to make it bigger than my shrine was able to deal with. That's so annoying. Easy mulligan into a fairly easy keep. Let's toss the swift response, I think. It's also possible that I should have thrown a land there, as I could cast everything, and I do enjoy a swift response against my opponent as it stands. This okay. Let's swing with the immolator and see what they do. Choose not to block it, okay. Thankfully I did draw a turret ogre, so I actually have, flying defense. Gosh. I just hope that there's no boss recut or celestial enforcer here. Okay, just awarded battlements, that I can deal with. Well, Scorcho as well. Gonna be useful. We're just gonna play the turret ogre now. Again, develop on board, see what they do. Uh, this does somewhat play into them having being able to play a Basri's Acolyte on their creatures, which would be somewhat annoying. Though, I still think I'd be able to deal with it. That's a perfect shock target. Okay. One does not want to do the swinging. Okay. Let's shock this. Go to combat for 7. 7 damage, play a 4/2. Hope my opponent doesn't have a 4th land. They do. And there's a Basri's Lieutenant too? They are playing a Basri theme deck. Jeez, okay. Now that's a 4/5. That's a real pain in the ass. Okay. Alright, well, swinging with everything. Okay, so here, what I'm basically doing is I'm trading the Chorister. Yeah, that's what I have to do. I do have to get rid of the Chorister here, unfortunately. But I may be left with 2 decently sized creatures against just a Pegasus. That was really unfortunate for me, though. We've got a Celestial Enforcer. It's also going to be annoying unless I draw something to turn it on for. Oh, sure strike. Okay. This is excellent. I'm likely going to be able to just, yep, get rid of their board here. Up. Up. Okay. Now the onus is on my opponent to try and get themselves out of this situation. Another Celestial Enforcer. That will, unfortunately, again, trade for my Ogre. The Pegasus. So they just rebuilt their board. Hope they'll draw something. Igneous Cur, that will help eventually. Let's trade this Ogre for their Enforcer. and play this cur. And I've got enough to pump the cur, so it's 2 mana to pump that cur will be lethal if it goes unblocked. Unfortunately now my opponent has a 2/4 Pegasi, and Excelente. Well, I'm going to improve my creatures as well. I'm short a land on being able to attack this turn as well, but this is still going to put my board better than their board. I cannot attack here profitably because they could double block my cur. I lose the cur for 1 damage. That's not worth it. Or I could trade my Heartfire Immolator for their Basri's Acolyte if they so choose, and I don't want to do that because I have, you know, a red mana open. I can just shoot it whenever I want. They played double warded battlements here, and my internet's messing up. Let's see what they're attacking with their Basri's Acolyte, and this means I have to get rid of it. Okay, let's play that. Mountain. And we get to attack. My opponent is, you know, forced to block awarded battlements on the cur and Concordia Pegasus on the Basri's Acolyte, so I'll gain 2 life and get rid of one of their creatures. So, assuming neither of us do anything else, I'm winning this game. My internet is messing up. It does not want to be nice. Alright. Oh. Okay, opponent drew land. Excellent. I drew a creature. More excellent. Play a Watchdog, and we're in quite good shape. They drew another land. Excellent. They've had enough. Because they're going to 1, I'm still going to have all my creatures. So, as suspected, they're on a mono white deck with like so many duplicate cards. They have a lot of consistency, and their deck seems pretty strong actually, but again, me seeing no removal out there is great for me. I'm actually going to put in this dub as well, just to go even harder. And as far as stuff that I don't want, I still want everything though. I want it all. I want it all, I want it all, and I want it now. I don't want to take out creatures for this, so we're just gonna stay the course and hope to get there. Unfortunately, I have to mulligan again, but this is a decent hand. I'll toss this Sure Strike, as I want creatures on the board. Best draw here would be Heartfire Immolator, probably. So I can go 2 into 3. And then I'll land. Okay, well, we're gonna land now. Not the best spot for it, but again, we're still going to be able to go Sea Striker into Battle Rattle Shaman, and that's going to be very strong. Opponent is playing like opponent's playing Daybreak Charger, which is quite annoying for me. But at least the Sea Striker can hold it off for now. More daybreak chargers, okay. I'm going to 14. So next turn I'll be able to Scorching Dragonfire Makeshift Battalion. So what do I want to do on this turn? I think this turn I just want to play it somewhat safe. Play this Turret Ogre and just pass. My opponent can't attack me profitably unless they draw Bossry's Acolyte. If they don't, Celestial Enforcer is going to be a fantastic target for this Dragonfire. Because I don't want no tapping. Tapping's not what I want. Drop a Makeshift Battalion. And ship. Oh, my opponent has Glorious Anthem as well? My goodness. Their deck is bonkers. Okay, so let's think here. So, Bossry's Acolyte putting a counter onto Siege Striker and would allow it to get in for a fair amount of damage. Alternatively, I could just play a Battle Rattle Shaman and get in for a good amount of damage. That'll be 4, so they would have to block with something else. Unless I tap more things I don't want to do. So that's awkward. I want to give my Sea Striker 3 toughness. Attack with this, and tap down my Makeshift Battalion. This way, my opponent would have to block with 2 creatures, trade both of them for it, which they don't want to do. That's good enough for me. Selfless Savior, that's going to make Combat Math a nightmare. Revitalize post playing the Selfless Savior. Play your card draw effects first, people. Okay. So Selfless Savior is extremely unfortunate because now they can block my Siege Striker with impunity. It literally doesn't matter. Now I wish I had my Bloody Shrines. Let's play this Battle Rattle. This can give my Acolyte +2 power. Love to. And so, we're definitely attacking with the Bossry's Acolyte. Now the question is, do we attack with anything else? We can force the issue on the Selfless Savior by attacking with the Siege Striker. And I don't really need to tap anything. Ooh, I would want to tap one thing so that they can't trade their Pegasus for it. And yeah, I think let's do this. Because I'm going to 18 here unless they block their Selfless Savior on my Acolyte and then sacrifice it. So I'm going to be at a large enough life total that I'm not fearful of their crackback. And this is well, I mean, I might be fearful of their crackback if they played Bossry minus to make creatures plus something, but it doesn't look like that's the case. So likely what's gonna happen is okay. Sure. I don't know why you would block the Sea Striker with the Selfless Savior when you could have blocked the Makeshift Battalion and not taken some damage, but more power to you, opponent. Ah, they have an Acolyte. Luckily, my turret ogre is still big enough to take down this Concordia Pegasus if it decides to get frisky. Anointed Chorister. That's an excellent draw for me. Let's make this makeshift battalion even bigger and swing. Potentially offering up the trade for that for Daybreak Charger, which I will gladly take. Phosphorus Acolyte I'm less glad to take, but hey, if it happens, it happens. Because my Anointed Chorister being able to be a 4/4, I would rather get rid of my opponent's high power creatures. Very annoying that my opponent still has 3 cards in their hand. Because as they've shown, they have a multitude of very strong spells like Basri's Lieutenant. Crap. They're putting a counter on the Concordia Pegasus to be able to get in, and their Basri's Lieutenant is big enough that things aren't likely not going to be great for me anyways. Okay. So we've got a Heartfire Immolator, which is good, which means we can shoot down their Basri's Lieutenant should I draw any kind of prowess spell. So I can make this into a 6/4. No. I need to deal with this Basri's Lieutenant before my opponent is able to gain knights off it, because they have a Glorious Anthem out. Those are going to be 3/3 Vigilance Knights, and that's going to be not good for me. Another Pegasus, and a Containment Priest on their main phase, awkwardly enough. Okay, so I could trade my Heartfire Immolator and my Turd Ogre for this. I'm not going to do that. But I do need to find some kind of answers quickly. That's not it. Yikes. Okay. Yeah, we're quite likely to lose this game unless we find a fair amount of very powerful things. A Fire Emancipation would do it. Basri's Acolyte would do it. Lanes will not do it. Again, drawing away a few too many lands here. One's also drawing lands, which at least makes up some of the difference. They have 8, whereas I have 9, so I can't really complain that much. Also draw more. Okay, another Chorister. That's okay. Actually, one more land and I can double activate Chorister. Oh no, Celestial Enforcer, that's a problem. Because now my Turret Ogre is my last line of defense. I need some really good spells here. Okay, that's not quite it. Alright, Chorister. Get in there. Okay, well, eating one of their creatures and gaining 9 life, that's fairly good for me. Like, they gotta be careful here. If they decide to... Yeah, they're gonna keep up their Celestial Enforcer for good reason here. I'm not trying to tap my Turd Ogre and get in for damage, because that's just not gonna work. Ooh, another Turd Ogre. That's intriguing, but... Okay. Let's go to combat. Big Chorister. They're gonna tap down that Chorister. Attack with other chorister. Hopefully no blocks. Darn, they blocked. My hope is that they don't block, and then I can... Okay, that's fine, actually. I'm rating my chorister for their two things. I get 3/3 knight, I get a bunch of life, and they drew their boss free. Crap. Okay. Now they can put a counter onto their boss free's lieutenant and start attacking with that because it has vigilance. They chose not to. So lucky me, I suppose. But we're in a lot of trouble now. Okay, Scorching Dragonfire is gonna be interesting here. Okay. So let's give our Heartfire Immolator some extra power. We're gonna tap down my chorister. Fine. That gets big. Attack them. Whatever. Make them block. Get rid of Bossry. Whatever. Play this turret ogre. Dome them for 2. End the turn. Now, if they want to get in with this Concordia Pegasus, they have to use their Celestial Forcer now, which they're going to do. Now they're going to attack in, thinking that everything's rosy. Ah, crap, they saw. They, quote-unquote, saw it. That's going to be annoying, but, let's see, I'm taking 7 here down to 2. Assuming they don't draw a flyer, I think I can win this game by blocking my turret ogre on their Pegasus and Scorching Dragon firing it, and not using the battle rattle, and not losing the battle rattle, I should say. I'm gonna need it to buff my chorister to be able to attack next turn. Exiled. Ooh, a swift response is very useful here. Buff up this chorister. Nope, 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 not everything. Just the chorister. My opponent would have to throw away both their things, but no, they're gonna throw away a single knight. Yeah. Let's, like, gaining 9 up to 11, like, they're extremely unlikely to be able to attack through and just kill me. Even a Bossry's Acolyte, Bossry's Acolyte would be, yeah, fortunate. Because that puts counters on so that they'll be able to some bad stuff. I really wish I could swift response this Bossry's Lieutenant, but it does have vigilance. Crud. So I could trade my turret ogre for a Celestial Enforcer and be very unhappy. Yeah, I'm just gonna take the damage here. Go down to 2 again. A secondary swift response, okay. Let's go in with this chorister. They're gonna jump with the lieutenant. Gonna gain 6 life. Bust out their enforcer, though I should have waited until they attack next turn. Hey, Livy. Yeah. Oh, they're just entirely done. That's very useful for me. Like, by no means am I like winning that game necessarily. Uh, they they didn't have enough to block my chorister and kill it, so they would have had to actually take a hit there. But yeah, I suppose they've had enough of chorister double pumps. So yeah, that's it for this set of videos. Only a 2-1 this time, but still good enough for somewhat of a rebuy. Uh, hope hope you enjoyed this draft. Stay tuned for more in the future. Toodles.